So now we're a little bit back on track. Let me go to Insert Sphere, close my draw palette. I'm going to come and draw a shoulder, but for those of you who aren't familiar with anatomy all that well, think of the rib cage as a box and the shoulder goes in the back half. That's if your shoulders are really steady. If you put them in the back half, maybe a little over, you're always going to be in better shape. And I like to extend them as a box. That's roughly half a head. And now that that grid is lined up and making sense, things are in better shape. Now, once we've got these guys kind of lined up, and let's get our proportions all the way out. Let's go to 2 heads. It's at this point that the maquette process starts to really break down, and you need to start moving on. Do I do the pectoralis? Do I not? Let's just get our limbs. So we're going to go Insert Cylinder. This is one way. You pull that out, use the Move brush, and start to stretch it. Don't forget your gesture. You can also use the snake hook brush. And this is really, really, really nice. Let's let those polygons be really crappy. Okay. And that's one way, but as you saw, it's not ideal. And now what we need to do is look at another way. So Curvetube. I'm going to turn floor off right now because it's going to slow the broadcast down. I'm going to pull straight down. And this Curvetube brush is what I use most of the time when I have to insert things like this. Now we are going to get ourselves into Dynamesh, but I don't want to get there yet. I really want to save that because there's a really important thing I'm trying to do here, and that's establish structure. And this is really important for me to communicate with you because you guys are at all different levels. If you're Steve Lord, right, you don't draw a rib cage inside the model and then draw the pelvis and a shoulder block, right? If you're Steve Lord, you could basically start with some crazy blob structure like this, and you know exactly where that rib cage is, and you'll be able to pose the pelvis, and then you'll be able to say put the head here, and then you'll get the hand out in this direction, and then maybe the guy's sitting in lotus. That's in your mind. That's fine. That's in your mind. You're Steve Lord. You have done it. I know the guy. I've seen the guy work. He's amazing. It's in his mind. So he has to work harder to present it to you in structure. And that's what I'm doing to you as well. I'm presenting the structure. If you want to simplify, go for it. But something like Dynamesh makes it harder for me to communicate structure. I don't create figures like this anymore. I'm a little bit more of the blob approach, but not as free form as Steve. So I'm going to undo, and let me get back to this curved tube. It's a brush, curved tube, you just click and you draw. Let's turn our floor on. We need to draw all the way to that floor. I'm just going to undo until I get it right. You can do it from the side, but the hand's in the way, and I haven't showed you how to hide the hands yet. But this is fine. You don't need more than this. The only thing I want to make sure, the most important thing I want to make sure you know is that if you click and draw again, that curve goes away. So let me show you the one thing that is actually a little difficult about this brush, and that is deleting this curve. Because there is a curve in here. And if you hover over that, you see now it's blue. My cursor is blue, whereas if my cursor is out here, it's red. Blue equals curve edit. I'm not going to use that in any major way right now. You can experiment with it, but I'm not going to use it because I'm in a quick sculpt maquette process. I'm just putting clay on the armature. That's it. And another guy I'd recommend you check out is Simon Lee. If you haven't seen him sculpt, I'd recommend you doing that. He works in he doesn't sculpt with blobs. Everything he puts down has structure to it. And that's really important to him working so fast. Okay. So what I do is go into stroke. Where'd they put it this time? Curve functions. And delete. If you're looking at the interface up at the top left, you'll see I have that set to a hotkey because I do that so often. So just delete that curve and then nothing happens. Now you can use the move brush and you start to get some of the gesture and maybe tweak the feet. Kind of like that stretching we were doing. BINGO for the inflate brush. Move brush. Use smooth like a sculpting tool. It is a sculpting tool. And before you post this on ZBrush Central, make sure if you're sculpting a guy, try not to leave this like part between the legs. If you're sculpting a girl, make sure it's not crazy. Let's keep it real. It's not sexy, but I've got clay on my armature and I'm ready to take it to the next level.